Hi, welcome back to the Word of the Day, aka the best segment of the podcast. Today I decided to do something a little more simple and go with the word volunteer. Let's see what people think.
We're asking people what the word volunteer means.
I think the word volunteer means to do something willingly for the greater good.
Volunteering is giving to a group or an organization that needs some help, your time or your talents.
It's when you help people.
Donating your time to a cause or event.
Nolan, what do you think the word volunteer means?
Help.
I've volunteered for local churches and I've done walkathons and those kinds of things.
At youth basketball games and at the homeless shelter.
Have you ever volunteered before?
I kinda.
Where and when?
I worked at a festival.
Yes.
Why?
Because volunteering it helps out the community a lot more.
Yes, it's good for the community.
If they like helping people, they should.
Yeah, I think it builds a good community.
What do you think the word volunteer means?
To join a group.
I think it means to give up your time of your own volition normally for a better cause.
Like you choose to do it instead of being forced.
It means help the community with a lot of other things.
Yes, I have. I volunteer around churches and veterans associations, especially in March because it's Veterans Remembrance Month.
I think the word volunteer means to help out the community. I volunteered at nursing homes before and at church, and I think people should volunteer more. Do you think people should volunteer more?
Absolutely. More help is always appreciated, and it really just binds communities together.
Probably it would be able to be helpful for everyone around us.
I think volunteer means putting in your time and effort into something that you don't have to do.
What do you think the word volunteer means?
I don't even speak English, But yeah, doing something for the community for no money.
What do I think the word volunteer means? It means offering to do something without receiving something in return.
To do for free.
Volunteer means to willingly do something for free, usually for a cause.
To give your time to someone else.
What do you think the word volunteer means?
Get away from me.
Have you ever volunteered before?
Yes.
When?
I think it was a year or two ago. I volunteered with my mom to do some community service, and she chose to do some volunteering for a soccer game. And so I helped her, and we made food for I think it was elementary school soccer.
Yes, I did. I have to.
Do you think people should volunteer more?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yada yada.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Leah. Welcome back to the MyMACC Podcast. This segment's going to be a bit different. We're going to talk about how to survive and how to keep this world clean. Find a water source. Take inventory of your resources.
I got an inhaler and my wallet. What do you got?
Find or make a shelter.
Yo, dude, I found us a shelter.
Make a fire. Now we're going to talk about how to keep the earth clean. Now I know you might be thinking, why should I help clean up the earth? Someone else would do it, right? Wrong. If 1 million people thought that way, there'd be a lot of trash around here affecting the ecosystem. If we don't take action, who will? The earth allows us to live and explore, breathe air, and more. If you think of it like this, it's more effort to carry the food itself than to carry its wrapper. Look for a trash can, and if there isn't one, put it in your pocket to throw away later. Now you might be thinking, how do we keep the earth healthy and clean? First, if you see trash on the ground, pick it up and throw it away. Second, you can recycle and refuse single-use items. Third, buy more food locally or grow it yourself. 4th, compost your food waste. 5th, dial back your thermostat to preserve more energy. 6th, plant more trees. 7th, reduce chemical use. And finally, conserve your water. Hey, pick that up! To keep the earth clean. Thank you for watching and tune in next time on the MyMACC Podcast.
Hello, my name is Lily, and welcome to my segment of the podcast. Today, I will be interviewing Brandon from Public Safety about his internship as a 911 dispatcher. So, my first question for you is, what is the description of the job, and what did you do while on the job?
The description of the job was basically, I would go there, I'd be sitting with the 911 dispatcher, take 911 complaints, any 911 emergency calls, dispatch units to certain areas that they need to go to, and basically just move stuff around, file in stolen vehicle reports and all that. On the job, I had a lot of hands-on activity. I did a lot of stolen vehicle reports. I did a lot of abandoned vehicles type of stuff. At one point, I was able to talk on the radio, basically just to communicate with the units. I was able to sit hand in hand with the dispatcher and answer a lot of the 911 calls. So, that was a pretty big eye-opening experience.
Great. How do you prioritize all the calls that come in?
So, at the dispatch center, we have two tones. So we have like a normal phone ringing, and then we have like an emergency. So you can kind of tell. The normal phone is if they call the central dispatch through the private number that's on the website, or if they were to call 911, it would be the more emergency tone. So it's kind of like, okay, this person needs a towing complaint, or this person needs a civil complaint done, but then this comes in and it's cardiac arrest. It's kind of prioritize where you need to go first, that type of stuff. A lot of it's kind of like that, definitely.
Okay. What experience have you had that affected you the most so far?
I had a lot of the unfortunate happen during the time. A lot of them were like Med 1. Our Med 1 is like difficulty breathing. Like your life is at risk completely. Like there was a couple where they had like a lot of breathing problems, shortness of breath, like sweating, clammy hands type of stuff. We had a lot of like stolen vehicle. We had a couple traffic stops that went by. Kind of just more of the eye-opening experience is what really gave me more of the effect.
What do you think the best part of this internship is?
Definitely like the hands-on experience with the dispatchers, and it's not just Montcalm County. It's also, we had a couple calls from Newaygo, Kent County, Isabella, I think over in Gratiot as well. So we all kind of just hand in hand. Everyone's really nice, definitely. And also you just get to talk with a lot of people, their experience. I had one girl that I was sitting with where she's coming up on 28 years and she's retiring in 3 years, I think. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is it beneficial to join the Career Center because of all these internships that are offered?
Definitely. So last month I was at 911 dispatching, obviously. And then now I'm at Greenville Department of Public Safety, and it's just more of an eye-opening experience with all the officers, the directors that I've seen, talked with. Definitely, I would say that it's beneficial.
Okay. This has been my segment of the podcast. My name is Lily, and thanks for watching and listening.
Hello, and welcome to my segment where I will be talking about screen time in relation to social media. On average, Americans spend about 7 hours on their phones. So, Keegan, how much screen time do you have? Keegan!
Oh, sorry. Well, my average is 6 hours and 42 minutes. So.
Okay. Lily, what about you?
Mine's about double that.
How much time do you spend on social media?
Social media isn't a huge part. I mean, I'm on TikTok a lot, but like not really like Snapchat or Instagram much, but watching videos and stuff.
My most used is definitely TikTok, and then my second one would have to be Snapchat because I text all my friends like constantly.
So Lily, what do you think your parents' perspectives on social media are when they're on their phone too?
Both of them say they hate it, but they're also on their phones all the time. My father has quite literally said this week that my phone's the devil and it should be thrown out the window, but then asked me to redo his home screen and make it pretty, so I don't know.
They don't really care that much about screen time. I'm always on my phone and they're usually on their phone. So it's just a whole different perspective on that.
In what ways do you use social media in a positive way?
Well, I will go through TikTok and I will just I will leave somewhat of a positive comment on most people's TikToks. And as long as it's the good ones and the ones that I personally enjoy. And then on Facebook, all my family members, they'll be posting stuff about their weekend and stuff, and I'll just be hyping them up in the comments,
Okay, well, social media definitely has a negative effect because it can harm people's image of themselves because they think they need to be like everybody else, or if they see a certain body type, they think they need to be like that to be pretty or good looking or anything, and it can really harm mental health. Also, like you said earlier, it's very addicting. You can be on it for, like me, upwards of 12 hours daily. So, those are the negative parts, I would say.
Thank you. That is my segment on screen time in relation to social media. Tune in next time.
Hi, and welcome to my segment of the MyMACC Podcast. Joining me today is a senior from Montebello, Caden Agus. Welcome, Caden. Tell us about yourself.
Hello, I am Caden Agus. I've gone to Montebello since kindergarten. A few sports that I play is softball, volleyball, competitive cheer, and sideline.
Great. What led you to come to the Career Center?
The first reason that led me to come to Career Center is very few options, like electives at Montebello.
Great. What has been the favorite part of your program?
My favorite part of the business class is that it's very small, so we all get along pretty well, and it's very easy to create a bond, and it's more of a one-on-one with the teacher.
Great. How has the Career Center helped you find a career?
Being in the business classroom, it helped me realize the strengths and weaknesses that I have, and it helped me make the decision of wanting to further my education in accounting.
That's great. What advice would you give to students who might be interested in the Career Center?
The advice I'd give to students would be to go into a program that would benefit yourself and not just join something because your friends did.
Great. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining us, Caden, and that's the end of my segment.
Hello. Welcome back to the MyMACC Podcast. Today I am joined by Kevin Wagonmaker from Montcalm Community College. Hello, Kevin.
How's it going?
So, what's your title at MCC?
So at MCC, my title is the Director of Instructional Innovation. That just basically means I get to work in a lot of different areas around the college associated with teaching and learning.
Ah, okay. What would you say are the most common technology-related challenges that new students face at MCC?
Well, as with everything, it's the first time using a piece of technology. So we use Canvas for our learning management system, much like you might use Google Classroom or something along those lines. And so getting acclimated to that software And as a new student, you have a lot coming at you at once from, whether it's financial aid things, new classes, the coursework that you actually have to do in the classes. And oh, by the way, there's also all this new technology, maybe going from a Google platform to Microsoft and trying to acclimate to that. So just a lot of newness.
What advice would you give new students regarding the security of their data and accounts and devices?
Don't use the same password for every different platform that you use. I realize that it's a lot easier to remember those passwords, but a more complex, longer password is obviously the first level. Using things like multi-factor authentication, a separate device. So if you're using like a Microsoft Authenticator app, Google has an authentication app as well. And you can store a lot of different passwords and things like that, and they're free to use. So if you're not using something like that, Google forces you to often, but using authenticators can help.
What emerging technologies do you see impacting college students in the near future?
So the first thing that comes to my mind with emerging technologies is obviously artificial intelligence. That's a big one right there. Obviously, mobile technology. Being able to join your courses wherever you are. Obviously, the face-to-face experience is a great experience, but also, if you have a job or kids or something like that, being able to join a class virtually, and not just talking about like an online course either. But just backing up, obviously artificial intelligence is a big one, and the shift that comes with that in terms of prioritizing the process over the product. So what's the process of writing the paper versus turning in the paper and just coming up with a paper? That's what's going to have the emphasis.
Oh, all right. How can students best access IT support on campus?
So we have a lot of different ways that you can get support. You can call. You can stop in. We have a physical location right next door, the Sydney campus in our Dozer building. We also have a location in Greenville, on our Greenville campus in the TLC building. You can also send an email. If you're familiar with Microsoft Teams, you can even get a service desk ticket going that way. And our staff is very friendly. They're proactive. They can't wait to help you. And so I hope that it's not just that you have to acclimate with them just because you're having an issue, even though that's kind of the common reason to go in there, but just to stop in and say hello and find ways that you can be supported as a student. Because obviously, here in 2024, the technology piece is a very important piece to your success as a student.
Yes. Do you have any tech-related tips for high school students that might be going to college this year?
Yeah, and it kind of goes back, like what I said, is acclimate yourself with the technology. If you have the opportunity to take part in an orientation, do it. If there are resources out there, like we have a student support course in Canvas, which is just a bunch of resources related to Canvas and Microsoft and things like that. I know that it takes a little bit of extra time, but the time that you invest up front to get to know those things is going to mean that you're not going to have to stumble on them and worry about them as much later on. You mentioned the service desk and the ways to get support, and obviously knowing resources like that. And if you are having an issue, what can you do to fix that issue or have somebody assist you with that issue? Small things like that can really help. If you get to campus for this first time, take a walk, go in the admin building. Where are student services? Who can help you there? Little things like that can go a long ways as you're trying to be successful in your journey.
Thank you, Kevin, for joining us on the MyMACC Podcast. It has been a pleasure having you. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the MyMACC Podcast. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.
Hi, welcome to my segment of the MyMACC Podcast. Today I will be giving some information about anxiety and obsessive-compulsive disorder. While most people tend to think of anxiety as one thing, it's actually a broad spectrum that includes generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, and separation anxiety disorder, though generalized anxiety disorder is what comes to mind for most people. Anxiety affects everyone differently. However, women in particular are more likely to be diagnosed because it is more prevalent in them than in men. Living with anxiety has a large impact on everyday lives. It can interfere with various aspects of life, such as work, school, social activities, relationships, and the overall quality of life. Anxiety is treatable with various methods like therapy, medication, and self-help strategies. Anxiety tends to co-occur with other mental health disorders like obsessive-compulsive disorder. Obsessive-compulsive disorder is a condition characterized by recurring thoughts and behaviors that an individual feels compelled to do. It is estimated that around 2% of the global population is affected by OCD, and it is a chronic condition, meaning those who suffer will always deal with the symptoms, though the severity can vary over time. There is treatment, though is more to help the individual live with their OCD rather than treat it, as OCD can largely affect one's everyday life in every aspect. I hope the information in this segment was informative and helped you understand these conditions just a little bit more. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.